Uh, it's the Flow Show, no filter. Happy Thursday. My water too far to get it right now. Hope you got yours. We got a lot to get into with this Diddy mess, but first let me cover my ass. No Diddy. The thoughts, views, and opinions shared on the Flow Show, no filter, are for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a professional. I am just good. Hello. Beautiful people, who we got in the building today? What's up, Angie, Nicole, Steph, C-Tuck? Make sure you like the live as you come in. Like C-Tuck said, I appreciate everybody. I got a good lunch and dinner today, so we got a $50 goal for Apple Pay and Cash App. So you see the Apple Pay and Cash App in the bottom of the screen. Let's see if we can get $50 before the end of this show. And I got some good lunch and dinner that I won today. So I appreciate everybody coming on in. Help me reach the goal. But this, I don't know. I'm a little worried about the Diddy case right now. I'm a little worried, y'all. So we're gonna have to talk. I'm glad y'all here with me today, because it's a few things I'm a little confused about, and we need to talk about it. The prosecution is about to end. The prosecution is about to end, right? But we haven't heard, and we got a lot. I got more information about the juror that they're trying to remove, or is that juror removed? I think it was juror number 6. Got more info about that. Inner City Press, the guy that was missing, is back. And it was what we expected, or what we suspected, I should say. He had typed a transcript that her Jane's child was a son, which was something that was said in the courtroom. But somehow he got in a little trouble for that. But he's back. So Inner City is back. Had to make sure I let y'all know that. But we got to figure out something. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go into Jane's testimony. The goal was obviously for the prosecution, for the defense, where they were trying to paint her as a gold digger in a way, and also just a girlfriend who wanted to spend time with her boyfriend, not a sex trafficking victim like the prosecution is alleging. So we got to get into that. Also, on a side note, they say Diddy was visibly sick yesterday and coughing and sneezing all over the place and burying his head into his hand into the desk and table. So we'll see what that amounts to. But so Diddy was sick. And another side note, before we get into the actual meat of today's show, I've been hearing different people. I think Tisa Tell said it. Ticket TV also said it. Something about Diddy found a phone after the raid, and the prosecution has there were messages left on that phone, and somehow him finding his phone could lead to obstruction of justice, because it was one of the phones that he was, I guess, supposed to turn over to the authorities, and since he didn't, it's a form of obstruction of justice. He left voice notes or text messages and voice notes on that phone saying it's a lot of shit on this phone, and I didn't delete any of it, and I need my lawyer. And I don't know. I think we're going to get more of an update on that today. But they sent out, they talked about who is coming up next. So they're supposed to be finished with Jane. today. They're finished their cross-examination with Jane today, and the prosecution is expected to call Andre Lemez, I don't know who that is, Jonathan Perez, which is Diddy's assistant, then their first summary witness, Miss Sankar, something like that. Now, I'm wondering, and a lot of people are wondering, where's Christina Coram? Like, where does she come up in this case? Christina Coram, I thought, and this blindsided me. I thought Christina Coram will be called by the prosecution since she's been named so many times. Now, unless she comes up as a surprise witness for the prosecution next week, she's not going to be on the prosecution's case. And the prosecution expects to be finished by Wednesday, no later than Friday of next week. So one of two things. Either she's going to come last minute, maybe they're working on an immunity deal, but I would have thought that would have been completed already, or she is staying 10 toes down with Diddy, and maybe the defense may be actually calling Christina Coram, aka KK. Also, I would have thought the security would have been called, but they weren't called either. Ruben, Uncle Paulie, or D-Rock. And so I'm thinking maybe they also could be called by the defense. Maybe Diddy's solid team, that his inner circle, maybe they're staying behind Diddy and maybe being called by the defense. I thought they would definitely be called by the prosecution, but they may have stood strong with Diddy. We shall see. But I definitely was surprised when I read the list of who the prosecution expects to be called, or who they're going to call next week. And like I said, now we know Jonathan Perez is a strong witness because he is Diddy's assistant. We have heard his name numerous times. For example, Jane listed Jonathan as one of the people who set up a lot of freak offs and date nights. And y'all know setting up the freak offs entails the candles and the Astroglide and the baby oil and so on and so forth. Jonathan was also, I believe, on that Utah trip that Jane talked about when Diddy was on the trip with a girl who was, I guess, 19 or 20, pretty young, and she was pretty upset about it. And if you remember, Diddy asked Jonathan to let Jane know that did nothing go on or whatever, nothing happened. Jonathan, I believe, was also brought up a couple times in Cassie's testimony. So Jonathan is definitely part of the inner workings of Diddy's empire. And so I'm interested to see what his testimony will bring. Like I said, I'm pretty shocked that nobody called Christina Coram yet, and there's really been no explanation, so we're all waiting around. But let's get into what's going on with this juror. Prosecutors say that this juror wasn't honest, and that's why they want them removed, but Diddy's team says that's not the real reason. This article comes from People magazine. And the title of the article is "Prosecutors Say a Juror Wasn't Honest. Diddy's team says that's not the real reason they want him out." There's been hella controversy with this juror being removed. Now, this article is saying that the prosecutor is saying he wasn't honest, but rumors from inside the courtroom is that this juror has been snickering and non-verbally communicating with Diddy, and has just had have been carrying themselves in a way where red flags have been raised. So let's go on. It says, prosecutors in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking and racketeering trial, which is in its 5th week, have requested that a juror be dismissed, citing a lack of candor. Let's see what that's talking about. So on Wednesday, June 11th, the lead prosecutor assistant, U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey, told U.S. District Judge Aaron Subramanian outside the presence of the jury that it appeared to be a lack of candor with the court that raises serious issues. "We did not want to do this," Prosecutor Comey said, "but we were compelled to do that." Now, one of Combs' attorneys, Alexandra Shapiro, said the defense opposes removing the juror and said the government's attempt at doing so is a thinly veiled effort to dismiss a Black juror. So now this is we're going back to the racial component where we were a little while ago when Diddy and his legal defense were saying that this whole case is racism, and because Diddy is the only Black man that they say have been brought up on these type of charges, they said this trial has a racial component. Well, now we are back to that, because obviously now we find out something we didn't know. We knew juror number 6 they were trying to remove him. We didn't know juror number 6 was Black. Now, obviously, we know this is a Black juror. Now, Judge Subramanian has said that he would address the matter by the end of the week, which means today or tomorrow. He's waiting on written submissions from both sides. Now, the jury, what is it comprised of? 12 people, 8 men and 4 women, which were selected for the jury, and a half dozen alternates. The jurors range in age from 30 years old to 74. Their identities are known to the judge and lawyers, but won't be made public. Now, among the 6 alternates, 2 are women and 4 are men. This is huge for a few reasons. One reason, removing a Black juror is something that the defense is strongly against for obvious reasons. I'm sure Diddy may have felt a connection with this juror or whatever, because as we know from courtroom drama, and that him and this juror have made nonverbal communication. They don't tell us if this is a woman or a man. Now, we do know there are 8 men and 4 women on this jury, but we don't know if this juror is a man or a female. But we know one thing: the prosecution is very adamant that this juror needs to be removed, and the defense is very adamant that the juror should stay, and citing that the prosecution is just trying to get rid of a Black juror. Lot of drama with this juror. We're gonna have to watch this, see how this plays out. The judge is gonna make a huge ruling on this situation. Also, Baller Alert did even covered it, saying drama in the courtroom, prosecutors eyeing a juror for dishonesty. Now, did this juror lie on their jury form? Could they have went to school with Diddy and didn't say nothing, or could they have some type of close ties with Diddy and didn't say anything? But something is going on. Now, the prosecution initially raised concern about this juror in private. They had a sealed conversation. And in this sealed conversation, they talked about their issues, but it wasn't in open court. Now, the excitement around the jury integrity now shifts to whether juror number 6 will be dismissed and what impact that move might make in this trial when it comes to fairness and public perception. How will people take it that a black juror is removed? Especially, we don't know the reason. So I'm hoping they give an exact reason whether they stay or go, especially if they get removed. We want to know the exact reason so we're clear on what's going on. This is strange amongst all the strange stuff that has happened in this case. It's been just one thing after another, from inner city press being removed for simply transcribing what was going on in the testimony. He got in trouble for saying something about Jane, and he used the word son, but the defense or the prosecution, I forgot which one said it, one of them called her child her son. So he was only saying what he transcribing what was said in the courtroom. So for him to get in trouble, that seems strange. Another thing, before we get into Jane's testimony about the Bottega bags and the Von Cleef jewelry and the $10,000 rent, it's been a brutal cross-examination for her, but she's pretty much done today, so it's almost over for her. But another thing, a couple witnesses that I guess will not be heard from. Victim number 3 completely was able to dodge testimony. Victim number 3, who we all guess and pretty much the whole world knows is Gina, especially from all the mentioning of Gina in this court case. She was able to dodge it. She was one of the main victims, went missing. And as we near the end of the prosecution's case, she's not testifying. Now, I don't know the rules on will she. I doubt she'll be called by the defense because I'm sure they wouldn't want the prosecution cross-examining her. But at any rate, she was able to dodge testifying. Now, I don't know how that works. I don't know if she'll have some repercussions behind it. But at any rate, doesn't appear she will have to testify. Also, they had mentioned that the chef who experienced some alleged assault was going to testify. We now know that didn't happen, or it looks like it's not going to happen. So there were some pretty strong witnesses that, for whatever reason, dodged, not dodged, because I'm sure the chef wanted to testify, but somehow didn't end up testifying. It just I don't know, something just seemed a little out of whack to me with that. I don't know. I thought for sure the chef would be testifying, and I did think for sure Christina Corn was going to have to, but she may have said, "Hey, I'll take the risk of going to prison or whatever," and stood strong. We know if Diddy was paying for Jane Doe's lawyer, I'm pretty sure he's paying for his securities lawyers and Christina Corn's lawyers. So they may be just saying, you know what, we riding with our guy. But let's get into some of this brutal. I don't want to say brutal, but it was just tough. A lot of tears were shed in the courtroom yesterday again, as the defense talked about all the gifts and read old text messages and had Jane in tears. So this article comes from USA Today. It's entitled Bottega Bags, Von Cleef Jewelry, $10,000 worth of rent. Diddy's ex Jane reveals gifts amid alleged abuse. Now, some people say, even though the defense to paint a picture of a gold digger in some kind of ways, and just a girlfriend who loved her boyfriend and wanted to spend as much time with her as she could, many people are saying to them, they just showed the grooming. They just showed love bombing. They just showed trauma bonding. So depending on what side of the fence you're on, people saw different things. But what we all know is the only people that really matter is what did the jury see? And what are they seeing with this testimony? So let's go into it. It says designer handbags, high-end jewelry, and a 5,300 square foot home. Sean Diddy Combs' former girlfriend Jane was whisked off into a romance of luxury. But what was the true cost? The woman who is testifying under a pseudonym amid Combs' federal sex crimes trial has gotten candid on the rapper's financial support and the role it played in their allegedly fraught dynamic. Although Jane is speaking in court as a witness for the prosecution, following a subpoena to testify, Combs is paying for her legal representation in the high-profile proceeding. She previously said she doesn't plan to sue him. And so as they got into this testimony, like I said, text messages were read, and they got into exactly how much money did Diddy send her. Jane estimates Diddy wired her more than $150,000 throughout their 3.5-year relationship. Now, what would that work out to? About what? Maybe $40,000 a year. A little less, between $35,000 and $40,000 a year. I don't know if that's worth I don't know if any amount of money is worth that freak off mess, but 30 to 40 grand a year is peanuts. Competing in freak offs. It was like a competition. Like, Diddy said it was like an all-star game. He was Michael Jordan, and Jane was Kobe Bryant, and Paul, the sex worker, was Shaq. It's just weird stuff. And we know these freak offs consisted of like sometimes 3 or 4 guys back to back to back. And they were basically weekly. For 3.5 years, basically a freak off at least once a week. Some of them lasting 18 hours, 24 hours, days, for 35 grand a year. It's just wow, man. It tears me up just to see what people go through. You never know what people go through in this world. For whatever reason, whether it's mental reasons, whether it's whatever the reason, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It basically painted a picture of a web of financial codependency. That's as stated in this article. The woman who worked as an online influencer claims she was forced to scale back her professional pursuits while dating Combs. And that makes sense because she had millions and millions of followers. She was willing to do OnlyFans and take pictures and, like she said, partial nudity. She also has millions of followers on Instagram. So she was saying at some point she would get anywhere from $5,000 and more per month to advertise for brands, and all of that most definitely adds up to more than $35,000 a year. So I could see her. She said that she couldn't make any money because she had to dedicate her full time to these crazy freak offs. Article goes on to say, as further revealed in Jane's testimony, Combs' lavish gifts underlaid a complex relationship pattern of an on and off again couple who dated from 2021 to the end of 2024, right basically before Diddy was arrested in September. Now, despite his material affections, Jane has described several instances of alleged physical abuse and a sexual exploitation by the Grammy-winning rapper, including being punched, choked, kicked, and dragged by the hair. Then they go talking about the Bottega bags. During cross-examination, Jane's testimony turned sharp when she shared that she felt Combs gave another woman more gifts and more quality time during their relationship. And a couple of these women, one of them is Young Miami. You know who Young Miami is? She is a rapper. Diddy gave her or launched her a podcast, something, what is it called? Carisha Please or something like that. But she got Chanel bags and other gifts that obviously Jane said she was jealous of. Also, Gina got gifts as well, who was alleged to be victim number 3, who did not show up to this court case. And so we spoke about this. They brought this up again, saying you didn't get a Chanel bag. If you remember, she said, no, I only got trauma. But Jane said Combs coerced her on multiple occasions to take part in these freak-offs, demanding series of sexual performances in which Combs pushed her to have sex with several men, lasting 3.5 days. Garagos asked Jane how much a bag from the brand Bottega costs. And we found out those bags cost anywhere from $1,000 to about 61 grand. I hadn't even heard of Bottega bags. Anybody any of y'all got Bottega bags? If you do, let me know. And let me know if it's worth it. $60,000. Now, another expensive gift that came up in this testimony was a Von Cleef bracelet or some type of Von Cleef jewelry before a birthday freak off. I don't know what kind of, I guess, how can a freak off be a birthday present? It seems like that's a birthday present for Diddy on her birthday, because this was supposed to be Jane's birthday. So for Jane's birthday on June 11th, Diddy gifted her with a bracelet and a freak off. This is just, man, if this was a movie, you would think this was fiction. You would think this wasn't real. So it goes on to say, on June 11th, Jane recalled an unsatisfactory birthday in February 2023, during which she alleged Combs arranged a freak-off. We already know what a freak-off is. The article says a drug-fueled sexual performance with multiple guys. So on this February, she recorded in June, but this is February, Jane testified that Combs made a dinner reservation at Noble that was conveniently located in the same hotel they were staying in. I asked if he can please romance me outside of hotel rooms, and of course the answer was no. So now this brings us back to the coercion and fraud. We talked about the fraud aspect yesterday. Fraud in this sense is when a person says, hey, instead of just coming right out and saying, I want you to do a freak off, they kind of trick you. So Jane was expecting the typical romantic dinner and a romantic time with her boyfriend on her birthday. She was not expecting, nor did she want a freak off. But Diddy planned a dinner at Noble inside the same hotel where they often did the freak offs. This is called fraud. Even down to Jane asking if they could romance outside of the hotel rooms, outside of the freak offs. Garagos pointed out to Jane that Combs arranged a photo shoot for her birthday, as well as gifted her a Von Cleef and Arpels bracelet and necklace right before the alleged freak-off. Jane is quoted as saying, I'm receiving my gift. I've taken a pill and I'm waiting for the entertainer. Jane said, any type of affection at this point in my life that I get from Sean, I welcome with open arms. This is very important testimony because it laid out what some of the prosecution talked about. So the prosecution tried to paint this as a boyfriend just taking care of their girlfriend. And painting the jealousy of, you know, her being jealous of Young Miami, Gina, and other ones. NBC News, as a matter of fact, says Sean Diddy Combs trial, ex-girlfriend Jane returns to stand for cross-examination. Jane testified in a very forceful, they call this a forceful cross-examination. It has been very aggressive. At one point, she broke down in tears. Even though the defense tries to paint this as being consensual. At one point, she broke down in tears because she was reading what they were calling loving messages between her and Diddy. Says, I resent him for how much I loved him and couldn't say no to him, she testified. She also testified that she was upset that Combs spent time with rapper Young Miami and Turks and Caicos. They showed photos of them together. She said that was a painful experience, especially given how she had tried to satisfy him with all those freak-offs. It was just a sad, sad day if you are on the prosecution side or on the Jane side. She had to relive some of her toughest moments in her life, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure this had to be tough. We all been in love. And when you're in love, or whether it's real love or you think it's love, it's tough, especially having to see somebody with somebody else while you over there. You just did a freak off with 4 guys, and now you got to see the person you were trying to satisfy with another woman. Just weird, weird time. She even, if you remember, she was in bed with Diddy when she saw the Cassie video, and they talked about his reaction. Can you imagine being in bed? Can you imagine being in bed with somebody, your boyfriend that you love, that you don't know at the time that he's putting his hands and all this stuff that he's done, and then you just see a video of him beating the crap out of a woman? How do you react? How do you react to that? I'm sure that was crazy. It's just so much going on in this trial right now. I don't know. I don't know where this trial is going next week, to be honest. Between victims not testifying, and now we don't know as far as Christina Korm and the rest of the security. It's just a lot of unforeseen and things to come. And it's just been weird. I'm trying to figure out where all the celebrities that were named, they have been quiet. Like I said, so quiet you can hear a cat piss on cotton. We haven't heard from any of the celebrities. We know the names. Who's been named? I'm not saying they're guilty of anything, but the names that we have: Britney Spears has been named, Usher, Neo, Jennifer Lopez. Where has she been at? People thought Usher would come to the forefront. He hasn't said anything at all. But the main person everybody's been asking me about is Jennifer Lopez. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I'm at this point. I'm pretty much 1,000% sure she's not going to be called. But to be honest, I agree with a lot of people who have hit me up. I would have thought she would. I thought she should have been called. I didn't think she would be called because I based it off of the questionnaire and the indictment. I didn't see anything where it really made her relevant. But I do think she should have been. You know, I could see a reason why she should have been called. We haven't had any mentions of anything underage, which I only saw one mention of underage as far as in the paperwork. And that was when the defense was trying to get more time. And the defense had sent in a motion. If you remember, we talked about this. The defense had sent in a motion saying that they wanted to get more time and saying that the prosecution had put more victims on them at the last minute. And they claimed that one of those victims was a minor, but that was just off of the paperwork. So I don't know if it was one of the victims that were supposed to be named. I mean, one of the main victims, which obviously we haven't heard anything about that, or that was just an allegation that was in the paperwork. No, that was never clarified. But other than that, we haven't heard anything about young people as the prosecution wraps up. And I'm hoping to see if they finish strong, because so far I wouldn't say that they're finishing strong at this point. I mean, James' cross-examination will be finished today, so that's over with pretty much for the prosecution. We'll see as this today and tomorrow, and however they finish next week is very important. Because as you know, I got a large platforms on pretty much every platform. So I do look at my comments and I read into my comments, and it helps me kind of gather a sense of kind of where the public is, because I got a lot of comments to choose from. And the prosecution started very strong and they continued that for a while. But if we're just being honest, and if I'm reading the tea leaves and looking at what's going on in my comments and some of my DMs and just what people are saying, they're not finishing strong. They're not finishing strong. And it's not over with for them. But as of right now, they're gonna need some damaging testimony from maybe Jonathan or whoever these other people are, because I don't remember them from the indictment. So I don't know those other names that I told you guys. But if I'm judging off of what I'm seeing in my comments, the DMs I'm getting, and just the overall public perception as of right now, the prosecution has lost a lot of momentum, right or wrong, whether they should have lost momentum or not. Maybe, I believe Jane was a sex trafficking victim. I believe Rico is detailed almost as much as a Rico you could have. But what I say don't mean nothing compared to what the jury might say. And we all know public perception is always important. I'm gonna tell you why, especially in this case, because we have to be honest about a couple of things. They didn't sequester this jury. So public perception is extremely important, because these jurors are going home every day. They're traveling back and forth. They're going home. We don't know what these jurors. Yes, the judge is telling them, don't talk about the case with people. Don't go online and look at stuff. But let's just be honest. How believable is that when they leave that courtroom, they're not talking to their family, they're not talking to their friends, they're not online looking at what everybody's saying? I mean, I don't believe that. I mean, and it's just human. I mean, I'm not even talking against it. It's just human nature. You're talking about a 6 to 8 week, well, maybe 8-week trial. And you're talking about people going home and they're on the subway, even on the subway, even if they're trying to avoid hearing public perception, they're on the subway. They could overhear conversations. Some may have even told people that they're jurors, who knows, and people are talking to them about the case. I told you from the beginning, the fact that they weren't sequestered, I wasn't really a big fan of that. This is a huge case in one of the biggest cities in all of the world, with one of the most popular people on the planet. They sequestered them in the OJ case. I don't see why it didn't happen in this one. But at any rate, it is what it is. It's the court's job to do all that. It's not my job. So I have to lean into whatever they do. But the fact that these jurors go home every day and they're unsupervised, from what I know, public perception is huge, which is why Diddy and his team have been doing so much to affect public perception in a way to help them. It's big, y'all. We can't expect these jurors to, when your phone is a gateway to all the information in the world. You mean to tell me that when they leave that courtroom at 4:30 and they're not back all the way into the following morning at about 9 o'clock. You mean you just can't get me to think they're not talking about this case with their family and friends. And their family and friends, whether we like it or not, you can pretty much believe a lot of them are echoing a lot of this stuff we're hearing in the comments. So, in my opinion, the prosecution needs to finish strong. And the witness list that they have right now has me a little concerned, but we'll see. I'm not going to judge because maybe, I don't know what they have up their sleeve. But as of right now, momentum has been lost. So we'll see how that turns out. Also, 4 of these jurors have been, at least 4, maybe at least 2, but up to 4 of these jurors have clicked up, is what I'm hearing as well. And if you remember one day, all 4 jurors were all late and showed up at the same time. So if I'm being honest, this whole jury situation is a little concerning just from what I'm seeing, but I don't know. The ruling on juror number 6 is going to tell us a lot. For one, it's going to tell us, hopefully, what exactly did this juror do? If they do get removed, I'm sure they're going to have to tell us what they did. If they don't get removed, I think we still should know what the problem was. Right now, everybody's talking in riddles and codes, and all we can go off of is the rumors coming from outside the courtroom. As you know, I can't wait to get to the courtroom. I'll be there next week. Probably I'll be there right when the defense starts their case. But think about what's been going on. We don't know exactly what's going on. We don't know the details that we once known because they kicked out inner city press or reprimanded him, gave him some type of punishment. I don't know what they did, but we know a couple of days ago, he had to stop tweeting and giving us information about what was going on in that courtroom. So now, it's already, we already aren't getting any of the facts. And we're already not allowed to see what's going on in the courtroom. No video, no nothing, with no film at all, not even highlights. All we're getting is these crazy looking sketches. And now it's almost like they took that a step further and they scared the shit out of everybody. Think about what's been going on. They've been threatening people behind, speculating about Jane's identity, threatening the media. We saw what happened in inner city press. So now a lot of the media that is in the courtroom is scared to say anything. Very concerning. Even inner city press, I'm sure he couldn't say much, but he said, the press has certain freedoms. And based off the little video he made, it seems like a lot of those freedoms are being taken away. So again, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I don't really like it. I don't feel like the media is as comfortable to give us information like they were a couple weeks ago. If I'm just speculating, I believe what they did to inner city press may have been a scare tactic for all the other media people. Because think about it, even dealing with this juror number 6 now, we got very little information. Like very little information. And when you're talking about a juror being removed, possibly. That's huge news that we should have every detail about that. What are we getting all these riddles and codes and vague ass answers for something that serious? And nobody who's in the courtroom, none of the press that we could count on, none of them, they haven't even told us anything. You know, I pay attention to the tea leaves, y'all. I pay attention, and something just is not quite right, which is why I'm going out there. I can't wait to get out there. Because one thing about me, I'm going to give the information that needs to be given out. And whatever happens, happens. But I couldn't be there and hiding shit like some of these, you know, like what's going on now. Very, very, very concerning. Like I said, inner city press, it seems like he wants to say more, but it seems like they have him, I don't want to say by the balls, but, you know, by the balls. Like they got him where I think he's scared to say certain stuff now. After whatever happened to him, I don't know what they told him, but I do know all of a sudden he couldn't give us information. He wasn't tweeting out the transcripts a few days ago. And we still haven't got any more of an explanation besides. And then the thing was, because he tweeted that it was a son, even instead of saying a child, even though the word son was used in the courtroom, I don't know, y'all. Even Inner City Press said, sure doesn't look like Christina Korn will be a government witness. They said they anticipate resting their case next Wednesday or Friday. If KK testified, it would be as long as Jane, if not longer. So he doesn't think so. And the prosecutor's summary witness that they identified yesterday is Miss Sankar, and said she should be on the stand soon after Jane's redirect is finished. But that's all we're getting, y'all. We're not getting a lot of the information, a lot of the details that we were getting for quite some time. I don't know, y'all. I don't know what to make out of it, but I don't know. I hope I'm just reading into things too much, and maybe everything's fine, but I'm really anxious to see how today and tomorrow plays out, what goes on with this juror, because things have just got really weird. And I'm not talking about the freak-offs. I'm just talking about the courtroom antics and what's going on in the courtroom. It just got really weird in the past week. Everything was pretty much, to me, normal. And then this week, all of a sudden, well, it started a little bit last week, but this week it really got to the point where it was like, we can't see anything. We're already dealing with these horrible ass sketches. And then this week, it was like a real attack on the media. Remember, we talked about content creators being harassed. We're talking about, you know, inner city press being removed or barred for a second or whatever happened. And now we have an issue where we're finding out Diddy had been snickering and vigorously waving his hand and kind of communicating with the jurors. Possibly this juror number 6. This may have been what caused and what sparked the prosecution to go after juror number 6. But I believe if we didn't have such a war in the media, we would know that. Like, we would know exactly what's going on because people are in the courtroom. People are hearing and seeing things. But after what happened in inner city press, everybody is shh. Now the media is so quiet, we can hear a cat piss on cotton. I'm glad for the VIP members, everybody who donated and are holding on and have their $23 subscription, which allows me to go back out there again, because we need boots on the ground. We really do. Something ain't right. And I would feel a lot better if I was there and I was in the courtroom and outside the courtroom, because we're not getting all the information anymore. Whatever happened with inner city press has pretty much silenced a lot of the media sources. I'm telling you, we've been following this. I've been following every platform, every person, this whole trial. I was out in New York for a week. Something changed this week. And I'm anxious to see what this ruling is, y'all. Something changed. And I can't wait to get my ass out there in New York I got to see firsthand what the hell going on. So if you want to subscribe, if you want to get some of the exclusive info when I take my ass out there, or just want to donate and help the trip, just go to the Buzzsprout link. It's in a couple places. It'll be on your Facebook where the notes are, where the description is. It will also be on your phone if you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple. It will be in the show notes. You'll see the Buzzsprout subscription. All you need to do is get a $23 membership, and you will get access to the exclusive content as I take my butt out to New York, because y'all, I'm not feeling what's going on right now. And last but not least, the Buzzsprout link was also in the chat. I just put it in the chat for those that are having problems getting to it. Thank you, Angelina, for the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate it greatly. It definitely goes to a good cause. This is the link that I'm talking about, the Buzzsprout link. Let me go back to Angie. I was trying to click on Angie. Thank you, Steph, for the $4.99 super chat. Let me go back to you, Angie. I need to find your link. But y'all, I'm just not feeling good about it, y'all. I can't help it. Between people not showing up, and then, like I said, I really think, because that was whatever they did to inner city press was not right at all. He's been our most loyal. He works hard. He is very credible. He didn't just emerge from this Diddy case. I've been following him. He is the one that does all these cases. And the way they did him, to me, it was almost like we about to send a message, because they know all the big media people, all the people really covering this situation, we all follow inner city press. So if you're trying to send a message, what better way to send a message than to get the person who everybody's following? Yep. I like what Punk Rock Girl, she said, inner city press knows what he's doing and they were threatened by him. Yep. Your opinion, I think your opinion is right on, is spot on. Punk Rock. They definitely, he knows what he's doing. He even filed motions complaining about, how the press had been being shut out. So he's been giving them the business. I can't wait to get up there. I can't wait to get back in New York. We need boots on the ground, y'all, especially as this nears the end. I'm gonna try to stay up there, either stay until the verdict, or I might have to go back if the defense is only on for a week, because they say it could be between 1 week and 2 weeks. If they only present their case it only takes them a week to present their case, then I would definitely be there the whole time. But if they do 2 weeks, I might have to go there and come back and go back again. But I'm for sure going to be there when the verdict is read. It's a historic moment. We have been putting so much time in this case. So definitely, I will be out there, but I've just got to put my eyes and ears on this situation, y'all. Definitely as far as the media, inner city press being silenced, even if it was just for half a day, and he didn't even do anything wrong. He just said what the hell was said in the courtroom. That's what has me concerned. He didn't use his own words. He didn't make up anything. He said son because that is what was said in the courtroom, her son. And Melissa, thank you for the $4.99 super sticker, Melissa. Greatly appreciate it. Good food is on the way, but I definitely have to get there for the transparency. Definitely have to get there. And Dickie, Angie said Dickie is busy feeding the ducks to the Diddy tapes. Oh man. Yeah, yesterday, that was a highlight, Angie. The prosecution highlighted that, I believe it was for her birthday, that Diddy was such a good boyfriend that he let her have one of the sex workers wear a condom. That was actually supposed to paint him in a good light. This is how low the bar has become. Diddy is now getting credit for having an illegal prostituting sex worker put on a condom. Finally, that was like a birthday gift to her. He wore a condom. Just weird. This whole case is weird. I haven't seen nothing like it, and I hope I don't see anything like it again. But it's just amazing. Some of the things that you hear these days. It was a sweet boyfriend. He was a sweet boyfriend because he allowed the sex worker to put a condom on. Just messed up, but we definitely. I'm hoping we get more information today, y'all. Because there's a lot in the air right now. Like I said, with this juror number 6, with witnesses, with this phone, we don't really have all the information with this phone that was supposedly that Diddy had his hands on that I guess he wasn't supposed to have, or I don't know what's going on with that. I'm waiting for that to be addressed. Now let's talk about real quick, because there's a lot of confusion on the jury. So this is what's going on. Let me explain this for people that don't understand. The only way to get a conclusive outcome, whether it's guilty or not guilty, is if you get 12 guilties, in which Diddy will be going to prison. Or if you get 12 not guilties, then Diddy goes home. But this is where the confusion is. Now, if you get 1 not guilty and 11 guilties, that's a mistrial, a hung jury. But in that case, all they would do is do this all over again. Unless something drastic changes, Diddy would stay in prison or in jail, and they would line up another trial, which could take a year or more. Now, typically, if let's say 4 or 5 people say not guilty, and you know, six or seven say guilty, now in that case, odds are that they won't retry because the judge and the powers that be, maybe the DA, whoever comes together to help make this decision, they would say this case was weak. You know, you got 5 or 6 not guilties, or even 4 or 5 is even would consider a weak case. And in that case, they would probably throw this case out, and Diddy would be free to go if they threw this case out. But another thing is there are a lot of other cases possibly that could come Diddy's way, even out after this. So there's so many different outcomes, but a lot of people are confused on the guilty and not guilty verdict. It either needs to be all 12 not guilty for a not guilty verdict, or all 12 guilty for a guilty verdict. Outside of that, the outcome is kind of in the air because if it's declared a mistrial, there are a lot of different factors that will determine whether whether they're going to continue the case or not. Money being one, how weak the case is, how strong the case is. Nicole, glad I missed yours, so let me shout out Nicole. Thank you for the $9.99 super sticker, Nicole. I really appreciate it. It goes to a good cause, my belly. I'm just trying to skim through to make sure I didn't miss. If I missed anybody's super chat or super sticker, please send me a message. Hey, boo, thank you for the $2. This thing is a mess. Thank you for the $2 super chat. I definitely appreciate it. As I said, it goes to a good cause. So, but that's the breakdown of what we're looking at, y'all. So, depending on the votes and depending on some other factors, it could be a mistrial. More than likely, that will be retried, but there are instances that will make the judge and whoever else has control say that will make them say, you know what, we're not going to try this case. But if it's one of those things where it's only like one person saying not guilty or even one or two, then they're definitely going to retry it. And like I said, they probably would bring up more victims, more trials. More victims, more charges, and then we would go from there. But at the end of the day, no matter what, I definitely think the prosecution needs to finish strong. I believe in the court of public opinion, which, like I said, is very important in this case because these jurors are going home, and we nobody can be naive to think they're not talking to anybody. So they've lost some momentum, and I think they need to finish strong. So y'all definitely support if you can. Subscribe. I'm trying to get out there next week or so. I kind of want to see when if the prosecution finishes Wednesday and the defense starts early. That means they're pretty much probably going to finish the following week. So I might get out there and just be able to stay out there until the verdict is read. So that's what I'm hoping. Much love to everybody who has supported the movement, supported the trips, supported this podcast. You guys have been amazing. Definitely look out for my social medias today because I have to update and see what's going on with this juror that might be thrown out and everything else. Let's get the amounts in the chat, y'all. Let's see. Let's get the amounts in the chat. Also, let's see if I have any subscribers, any recent subscribers that I need to thank. We got a lot of work to do, y'all. We got a lot of work to do. I don't know what's going on, but we are going to have to check this out and see what's going on. No new subscribers to shout out. So if you want your shout out, go ahead and subscribe. As always, I appreciate everybody. Angie says, I'm out. Steph says, I'm out. I think I missed my boy C Tuck. Let me go back and see if I can get C Tucks. I'm out. My dog. Dicky says I'm out. Dicky, can we get a I'm out? Can you spell that? It's only about 5 letters. Now I know that's pretty much past your 5 letters is out of your wheelhouse, but you might be able to do it. It's I'm out. I am space out. O-U-T. Dicky. Can we get a I'm out, Dicky? C Tuck says I'm out. Andrea says I'm out. Tasha says I'm out. We all out. Everybody's out. Marvin's out. Jonan's out. Everybody's out. The whole damn world is out. And Inner City is back though. Let me announce that. I'm sure y'all knew that, but punk rock is out. Nicole is out. Have a great day, everybody. Much love to all of y'all. Everybody, the all breakfast crew. 7:30 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday, live on YouTube channel Flow Daddy Flow, or on Facebook Flow Daddy Flow. But if not there, catch me on Apple and Spotify 24/7. Much love. I got work to do. Love y'all. I'm out.